Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
We're gonna get started. We're gonna start off with prayer, get off into the praise and worship, then jump right into the word. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for being with us this day. Father, y'all, first of all, we thank you for waking us up this morning, closing our right mind. Father, y'all, we repent, Father, y'all, and I repent persons for every sin, Father, y'all, knowingly and unknowingly, Father, y'all, every evil way, Father, y'all, every wicked way, Father, anything, whether it be small or great, that was not like you, Father, y'all. Thank you right now, Father, y'all, for forgiveness concerning, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, magnify your name right now and thank you for being worthy, Father, y'all. Thank you just for being y'all. Father, y'all, thank you right now. As we come against all forms of sickness, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against all forms of disease, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against anything that's trying to work contrary in our body, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now that we walk, Father, y'all, in the Ruach HaKodesh, that way we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against anything, Father, y'all, in the atmosphere, Father, y'all, in our region, Father, y'all, that may try to cause trouble, Father, y'all, in the realm of the Ruach, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for just being with us as a whole, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for leading and guiding us into all truth, Father, y'all, into all righteousness, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just want to let you know that we magnify your name right now, Father, y'all. We lift up your name from on high, Father, y'all. We just thank you right now, Father, y'all, for sitting high and looking low upon us, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you, Father, y'all, that in all our ways, Father, y'all, we acknowledge you, that you may direct our path, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank that we aim to do the will of you, Father, y'all, for not our will, but let thy will be done in our life, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now, Father, y'all, that even the more, Father, y'all, we should begin to decrease, Father, y'all, in the flesh, Father, y'all, and increase in the Ruach, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for just leading and guiding us into our righteousness, Father, y'all, allowing us to live a set apart life, Father, y'all, a life, Father, y'all, that is Kodesh, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just thank you right now for allowing us to be able to go out, Father, y'all, and feed your sheep, Father, y'all. You said in your word, Father, y'all, to Peter, Father, y'all, if you love me, then feed my sheep. Father, y'all, we thank you right now that even the more, Father, y'all, we come unto you, Father, y'all, in humility, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now as we honor your name, Father, y'all, even the more, Father, y'all. We thank you, Father, y'all, for being with us, Father, y'all. We thank you if we look forward, Father, y'all, for the new kingdom, Father, y'all, for New Jerusalem, Father, y'all. We thank you right now, Father, y'all, we're awake, Father, y'all. We thank you, Father, y'all, that we should not be overtaken, Father, y'all, by any form of sin, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank that we shall lay aside every sin and every weight, Father, y'all, that does so evil beset us, Father, y'all, that we may run this race, Father, y'all. And we magnify your name right now because you're worthy, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, I just want to let you know I appreciate you for everything you've done in my life personally, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, I appreciate you, Father, y'all, for just allowing me to have the mere breath of my body, Father, y'all. I thank you, Father, y'all, it's through you that I live, Father, y'all, and that I breathe. It's through you that I move in any aspect, Father, y'all. It's through you, Father, y'all, that I have my being, Father, y'all. It's through you, Father, y'all, that I exist, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, I don't think that I came into self-existence, Father, y'all. I thank you, Father, y'all, for creating me, Father, y'all. I thank you, Father, y'all, even the more, Father, y'all, that I am the clay, Father, y'all, and that you are the potter, Father, y'all. And I magnify your name because you're worthy, Father, y'all. In the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it.
So be it. Hallelujah.
All right, shalom, everybody. We're back. We're going to be talking about being a new creature today. And it just, hit my heart that, a lot of people are saying that they're saved or they're a part of Yah, and it turns into more of a fad if you're the same as you were before getting saved, and then after you saying you're saved, you're operating as the old person. And a lot of that you see of people are stepping Yah's name on, but they're still operating as the old person. So when you are coming to Yah, you have to be a new creature. And if you're not a new creature, then you're not operating in Yah. It's just you have some type of infatuation with what we call the truth, or you just want to be, a part of some type of social gathering, or whatever it may be mentally for you, or whatever, some type of quick fix, or whatever you want to call it. Is like, if you're not a new creature, if you haven't been changed, then something is wrong. I mean, I know people don't get totally like changed all at once sometimes. I know sometimes people have to get delivered from things, and things of that nature. But for the most part, if you're not putting forth an effort to do something concerning Yah, if you're still trying to run with the same crowd you were running with, it has to be an appetite change. Like, it has to be a desire to do something for Yah. It can't be you just saying you're of Yah, but at the same time, we see you as the same. I mean, you shouldn't still be looking like Pookie or whatever your nickname was, and the character that he displayed. It should be something different about you. It's okay if they're calling you that name, because that's all they know, but they need to have in the back of their head or on the front of their mind that, hey, look, Pookie has changed. He don't seem the same no more. Need to be something that they see that's different about you. You can't just be the same. So we're going to look at, we're going to kind of go forward and backwards, looking at the life of a briefing of the life of the Apostle Paul when he was Saul and he returned to Paul. When you look at this, when the Most High start, changing people, it's like a total difference in their life. Like it gets to the point where the people that they were once running with, some of those people despise them. They don't like them anymore. They think you feel like you're better than them or something like that. And it's like, that's one sign right there. If everybody's comfortable and nothing is wrong and you're not going through anything, it's like, we have to look at this right here. We're going to go over some of the scriptures where the Apostle Paul said a messenger of Satan was given to him by the Most High. Like a lot of people don't want to deal with that because they look at these scriptures when you see that the Most High doesn't tempt with evil or anything like that. But you have to stop looking at, you can't look at what the Most High called evil to what you call good versus bad in your head. That's the thing. That's what messed people up. Like the world has taught you to see good and bad. And what you do is when you see a righteous act being done by the Most High, if it's something that doesn't seem like it's a pleasing to the flesh, then you want to call that bad. And that's not, you got to get that out your mind. You can't look at it in a world view, what good and bad is, because the Most High, he doesn't operate like that. Because he told Ananias, I would show Paul or Saul at the time what great things he would suffer for my name's sake. He said, I'm going to show him. That means he's going to allow things to happen to him just so he can keep him in place, in check, because he was going to use him in a mighty way. And so we have to look at this. We have to say, okay, well, every time we're going through something, it's not always houseofaryeh, it's not always us. If you have like a heavy revelation of the Most High is actually using you in a mighty way, sometimes you have to allow things to keep you humble. And that's why he said that messenger was there so it can buffet him unless he feel like he's exalted above measure. But we'll say, okay, well, that ain't the Most High. Well, you have to get out of your mind what you learned in church and what you learned through religion and look at the facts. The facts is the Most High operates. That's why when you hear the story of Balaam and Balak, he said, whom the Most High has cursed, no man can bless. And whom the Most High has blessed, no man can curse. So he has the power to curse and bless. Just because he told you to bless only and curse not doesn't mean he can't. And so you got to quit putting yourself on the level of him also. And when you open up your mind and you realize these things, you'll see that some of the stuff you go through is for the Mashiach. It's for his name's sake. It's not just because you've done something bad all the time. You have to realize that you have to glorify in your infirmity sometimes. And when you do that, that's when the Most High start easing the pain of certain things start happening, if it's time for that to happen. Because sometimes you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, well, this is something that's going to cause you to have a baraka or a blessing, but you're trying to rebuke it. But the Most High is allowing it to happen to take you to a certain place where you can actually be able to be stronger and be used by him. And so you have to look at everything that happens to you, whether it be sickness or infirmity, is not always bad all the time. Sometimes it's done for the sake of a testimony. And it's hard to deal with that because we say, okay, well, why did that happen? But I just told you, say a messenger of houseofaryeh was sent to me. You think a messenger of houseofaryeh is just sitting there being nice to him? No, he said, this thing is a thorn in my flesh. He said, it's bothering me. He said, I approached the Most High 3 times. He said, my grace is sufficient. He said, I have grace on you, but it's not going to be moved because I need to use you and I need you to stay humble. And that's what we have to realize. So when people are saying they're used mighty by the Most High and they're not bearing the marks of the Mashiach in their body, and they're saying that they're being used mighty and they don't have no type of evidence of no form of suffering through the Mashiach, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to say, okay, well, is this person really as mighty as they're saying they are? Because some people come off to have more power than what they really have. They'll lead off to be somebody great, but for the most part, they haven't went through anything. It's just trying to pull the wool over people's head. But when you're being used by the Most High, most of the time, you're going to go through some things. It's not going to always be smooth. It's not going to always seem like you want it to be. Because if you're a representative of him, he's going to take you through things to be used by him. It's not what you're going to be doing, it's what he want to do through you. And so we're going to start off with, of course, we're going to start off after, we're going to start off with Paul, when he's Paul now, and then we'll look back into when he was turning from Saul to Paul, just because this is where the new creature message is coming from. We're going to start with 2 Corinthians chapter 5, starting at the 10th verse.
All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, 10th verse. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Mashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he has done, whether it be good or bad. Okay, so nobody's going to escape. Like if you, whatever you done, whether it be good or bad, this is why we have to get our mind off of people. Get your mind, not saying you don't have compassion for people. I'm saying quit trying to follow somebody else's pattern and trying to be them. Quit trying to mimic people and feeling like you wish you was like this one. You don't know what this person got going on, what they faking or whatever. You got to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Because if you're living a life that's not pure, a life that's not true, you're trying to live somebody else's life, you're going to be judged for that too. Because you're being disobedient because the Most High told you to do this, but you're trying to follow this person because you may feel like they're outdoing you, or they may seem like they're, outshining you or whatever. You can't be focused on that. You can't be trying to be in competition with anybody. There's no sense of debating nobody if it's not going to result in some form of repentance or some form of getting an understanding. If we're not getting understanding, we're not finna fight and what I call lip wrestle over those scriptures. I mean, whatever you want to believe, roll on. Just believe that if we got to argue about it. But we can have a sensible conversation, intelligent conversation. We can have that conversation, and even we have to end on just disagreeing or whatever like that, just agree to disagree is fine, but we don't have to fight and fall out and result to name calling and all that, because most of the time when that's happening, these people are not confident in who they are. If I got to fight you to believe what I believe and get in the flesh, then it's about me. That's pride. That's not me trying to win you over through the Mashiach. So I don't have to go through all that. Once I feel like you going left and you're not trying to hear it, at that point, that's it. I have to let you do what you got to do, and you go your way, I go my way. Because this is what happened with Paul and Barnabas. Like they went both each other way. They didn't try to, keep going. Paul went one way, or Barnabas went the other way. And so Paul took Silas, Barnabas took Mark, and they separated. You know what I'm saying? So they had to be separated because they had gotten into a big dispute. Paul didn't like the fact that Mark, which is I think Barnabas' nephew, didn't come with him on the last mission. So he said, look, I'm not taking him now. So I guess Barnabas wanted to take up for him, and they got into a sharp disagreement. They were still saved and still righteous men, but they couldn't agree. So they couldn't walk together. The word said, how can two walk together unless they agree? But we try to force people into our box. Like we want to make everybody do exactly what we're doing. Everybody don't have the same calling. It's like everybody's not the head. Everybody's not the legs and arms, eyes. Everybody have a different part they play. There's many different members to one body. And once you realize that, it cuts out any type of disputing, there's nothing to fight about. All we should be looking for is the king to come back and reconciling people back unto him. That's it, to Yahuwah. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing anything. There's nothing to fight about, nothing to wrestle about. So we have to look at this and say, okay, look, am I willing to be judged? Because I want to actually get into some, I would say, futile, whatever you want to call it, some pointless debate with somebody that's not going to lead to me or them saying we agree. Like, it's just like we're just trying to prove ourselves to be right. Rather than try to prove what's right with the word, we're sitting there picking out things and saying, okay, look, if you ain't doing just like this, then you going to hell. All this kind of stuff, I mean, it's just a pointless thing. And when you start getting to that, you begin to operate in another ruach, because you getting into the ruach of strife now. And when you debate, if it's not done righteously, it'll turn into strife. That's what happened. Then it'll turn into you name calling and it just sin gonna come in. And so it's not worth that. We have to make sure we stay focused and remember to abide in your calling.
11. Knowing therefore the fear of Yahuwah, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto Yah, and I trust also are made manifest in your conscience. For we commend not ourselves again unto you, but give you occasion to glory on our behalf, that ye may have somewhat to answer them which glory in appearance and not in heart. Okay, and that's what he's saying. So you have a lot of people want to look righteous, to remind me of the ones that's on the street corner. I mean, it is what it is. Like, a lot of them look righteous. A lot of them, and for those that perceive that look to be righteous, pretty much. And a lot of them, they have on all this different stuff. It's just like, it's no different than the ones in the pulpit with the long robes and stuff on, and the crosses and all that stuff on there. It's like, and you're looking a certain way, but at the same time, your heart is not right. And so on the outside is like whitewash, but on the inside is dead man's bone. And so if this is going on, then what's the point? Like, if you're going to look righteous and not be righteous, you're going to be judged by that too. You're faking. I mean, you're a counterfeit. And so you can't be a counterfeit and then at the same time be of a pure heart. It's like you're going to be one or the other. So 13. But whether we be beside ourselves, it is to Yahuwah. Or whether we be sober, it is for your cause. See that? So it said whether it be beside ourselves, it said whether we be sober, it is for your cause. He's saying ain't that we got to be sober like for our own. It's like we're being sober for you. We're being sober for your cause, like that. We're being sober so that we can be sober, like say that we can actually be able to be ready to give an answer to all those that want to answer from us concerning the Mashiach. All those that want to answer concerning salvation. It's like we're ministering to you, so therefore we want to have be in our right mind.
We want to make sure that we're able to deal with you on every different level. And we can't do that if we're not sober. So it said, whether we be sober is for your cause. Not us. I mean, it's like, I'm sure it's a lot of things, a lot of people that's got a higher calling would rather do. But because you present your body into the Mashiach, I'm saying, then therefore you're not going to do those things. You're going to do something different. You're going to do what you have to do to get the job done. But if you're trying to operate in the flesh, yeah, that you're not going to be sober. But if you're trying to operate on a level to feed the sheep, you have to be, because there's so many different challenges that are going to come. And you might not be sober, and that one challenge come and you're not able to deal with it because you're off your game. So you got to make sure that you're always ready to give an answer to those that come to you. You can't do that, stumbling. You got to make sure that you're focused, because you will get tripped up.
14. For the love of Mashiach constrains us.
So that's what constrains them, the love of Mashiach. It constrains us. It makes us be sober. It makes us actually do the thing that we know need to be done, not what the flesh want to do. The flesh is never going to want to do what it's supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, because the flesh is the flesh. It's not you. It's a house. And the flesh is actually contrary to the Ruach. So if the flesh is fighting against the Ruach, you have to put the flesh under subjection. It's not going to go into subjection.
Because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we're all dead, and that he died for all, that they which live should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him which died for them and rose again. Wherefore henceforth know we no man after the flesh. Yea, do we have known Mashiach after the flesh, yet now henceforth know we him no more.
So they say they don't know nobody after the flesh, even though they have known Mashiach after the flesh. Now they know Mashiach in the Ruach. It said it has changed now. It say, yet now we know him no more. Like he's not walking in the flesh no more. That's over. Like we can't look at him as a prophet and all this kind of stuff, or just somebody that just came. We got to look at him for who he is. And if you don't do that, then you're going to operate in the flesh. You have to operate in the Ruach. And if you're not operating in the Ruach, you're looking upon the flesh to actually get approval. Like you can't look at the flesh. Like it's a lot of people may come that may have the word of Yah, and you're trying to size them up. And instead of you receiving the word that's come from them, you're trying to look at their clothes, look at this, look at what they do. Like it's so much different distraction you have because you've been taught to be judgmental in a bad way. This is saying, I'm clarifying this because we are supposed to judge. Like when you hear, just like when you hear someone that's saying they want to be of the same sex and they say, look, you can't judge me. No, anything's supposed to be judged. The problem is when you're dealing with the mold and the beam, it's the fact that I still have a actual beam in my eye and I'm trying to judge you. I'm a hypocrite. But if I'm not being a hypocrite and I'm walking righteous, I can bring a judgment upon you for it's telling you that you're not walking righteous. But if I'm not walking righteous, then I need to keep my mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we can't use that. A lot of people say, well, you can't judge me. And people use that as an excuse to say it's not sin what they're doing in a sense. But it is sin, and you're supposed to be judging sin, not the individual. And that's the thing. So, we just have to make sure that we're doing things that are righteous and not things that the flesh just deemed to be, point fingers.
Because, for the love of Mashiach constrains us, because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we are all dead. Okay. And that he died for all. I'm sorry, I got confused.
Go ahead.
I think I'm on 17. Okay. Therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
Okay, and this is what we're trying to get to. So if you're not a new creature, how are you a Mashiach? That's the question I have. If you're not a new creature, I'm going to say you're not a Mashiach. I'm just going to say that you're not in Mashiach if you're not a new creature. And that's no in between. That's no trying to figure it out. Either you're in the Mashiach or you're not. And so if you're not, and it's not nothing to figure out, it's obvious if you're a new creature or not. If you're a new creature, you're not doing the things that you used to do. It's like we're not trying to justify doing things that we know the Most High is displeased with. And so if you're a new creature, then you operate as a new creature. You're not operating as an old creature and saying that you're a new creature. So you're not a Mashiach if you're not a new creature. Go ahead.
18. And all things are of Yahuwah, who has reconciled us to himself by Yahushua HaMashiach, and has given to us the ministry of reconciliation. To wit, that Yahuwah was in Mashiach, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their transgressions unto them, and has committed unto us the word of reconciliation.
See, and this is the thing, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be, and it's going to get to ambassadors, we're supposed to be reconciling people back to Yahuwah through the Mashiach. And it's like, and if you're not doing that, you're off course. Like the mission in the ministry is not to argue and to debate, is not to force people to be in your calling. And the Most High have called you to do something. You know, if the Most High gave you a ministry to go feeding the homeless, you can't tell everybody else they're going to hell if they don't want to go with you and feed the homeless. That's your mission. No one is knocking it, but do abide in your calling. And if you're not confident in that, then maybe that's not your calling. Like and whoever it is that has that same calling, they're going to actually latch hold to that. And we have to quit trying to force everybody to do it our way and to be in our calling. It's like you have a calling. Everybody's not called to deliverance. Everybody's not called to healing. They're just not. I mean, it doesn't mean that, you know, you can't pray and get healed. You can't pray for somebody, but it's a difference when you're called to healing and deliverance ministry. When you're called in a ministry that deals with the dark world, it's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about setting the captives free, when you're talking about getting people free from all form of bondage, that's a whole different ministry. Everybody ain't called to that. It's like we can't frown on people that's not doing it. Whatever you're trying to do or whatever you've been calling, you got to become that. You got to allow the Most High to allow you to become that, to instill that inside of you through growth and development. It's not going to be instilling somebody that's not been called to do it. And this we have to quit looking at. You'll see those that have precious like faith. We're not talking about the faith of this word. I'm talking about a precious like faith that you know that you have. It's those that have the gift of faith, then there's those that just faithful, that's faithful to the Most High. It's a big difference. Like that, there's some people that, you know, you'll think, like I know it's been times where I've operated in a certain level of faith where I've seen people do certain things on jobs, whatever, and I'll think, you know, it won't register in my head that they're accepting certain things, but it's not that. That's their lifestyle. This is what they've been programmed to believe and do. So I can't frown at them, but, you know, I just keep on going and do my thing. And a lot of people are amazed saying, okay, well, how did this happen? It's not nothing big in my head. I just felt like I was supposed to get it or do it. But they look at that as, you know, some people look at that as being cocky beside yourself, and they mix faith up with being cocky. It's not being cocky, it's faith in Yah. Because it's not me that's believing, it's me believing that through Yah, this can happen. And it's different. I mean, everybody don't have it, and people that don't have it, sometimes they be like, hey, look, you know, well, that ain't gonna happen. And they're negative in my ear, but it's not that they're negative. They are, but they're not trying to be negative. They're being themselves. They don't have it. It's just not there. It doesn't exist inside them. They can't see themselves in a different light like that. They don't realize that if you latch hold to the Most High, if you push back that plate, if you get to a point where you start seeking him, if you've done something wrong, you lamentate, you begin to just, you know, get on your face, call out before him, begin to go into worship and pray, you'll move the hand of Yah. But people don't believe that. A lot of people think that, okay, you just have to accept certain things. When you have to accept something is when you went through the proper challenge and the Most High didn't move. That's why Paul said, I besought the Most High. He said, I was seeking him 3 times to move this thorn in the flesh. He said, my grace is sufficient. He sought him to do that. And therefore, he went through the proper challenge. Everything else he wanted to do, the Most High gave him. He said, I speak this by permission. No, this ain't the Most High. Now this is me talking. So he would let you know when the Most High told him to say something and when he said something. We're talking about the Apostle Paul. So therefore, we can't say, you know, that everything is just by chance. When you seek the Most High about something, if he don't move the situation and do it, it's his will that it stay like that for right then. But you have to be to sought him. You'll lose by not seeking him. Because you just sit there and don't do nothing. You got to play something out that can end in after a fast versus 3 or 4 years. Like that, because you didn't seek the Most High. So you have to realize that there's power in seeking Yah. There's power in finding out whether this is Yah's will or whether this is something I'm doing. But you don't find out by doing nothing. The only way you're going to find out, you have to seek him. There's a process. You have to go before the throne of grace boldly. And I'm not talking about just going up there praying. You have to prepare yourself real. Go before him in a real push back that plate, fast, whatever you can give him as a sacrifice, and go forth seeking him. And not no one time. You got to do it until you get a result. Whether you see for a fact he's not going to change, he'll show you, or you'll see the change. That's it. So it's usually he will show you he's not going to do it, or you'll see the result come forth. That's how it usually operates. So, you know, it's like, but you have to make sure that when you're dealing with this stuff, you don't get off course of realizing that you have the ministry of reconciliation. Like everything is supposed to be to a point where the Most High is using it for his glory. It's around your life. It can't be nothing that's being operated for, that you're using for the flesh. And when you're doing that, he's not going to move. Like you're asking for stuff that's a myth for your own selfish longing. You got to ask for stuff according to the will of Yah. He wants you to be successful. He said, I wish that you prosper and be in good health. He said, even as your soul prosper. He don't want you to have the prosperity and then go to hell like that. You mean you don't want to have riches and then go to hell? Like I don't want it. If it's gonna send me to hell, I don't want it. I want to make sure I got that balance. I don't want to be without, but at the same time, if I gotta be without a few things to make it into the kingdom, then it's better that way than I burn forever. So that's the way you have to look at that. And if it's anything different, you've been deceived. You can't be looking at things through the lens of the flesh.
20. Now then, we are ambassadors for Mashiach, as though Yahuwah did beseech you by us. We pray you in Mashiach's stead, be ye reconciled to Yahuwah. For he has made him to be sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of Yah in him.
That's right. It said that we might be made the righteousness of Yah in him. And so you can't be made the righteousness of Yah without him. We're going to look at, starting to look at the conversion of when Saul first came out before he was Paul in Acts chapter 7, verse 58. It's going to start talking to us about when he was actually there, when those that were there laid down the clothes of those that stoned Stephen right at his feet. So I'm showing you how a new creature, like this is a guy that had the church on the run. Before we read this, just to give you a background, he had the church on the run. I'm talking about until the conversion of Paul, when he went to the road called Straight Damascus and all that, when he went on that road, until he got to a point where he went to Antioch and the brethren laid hands on him and laid hands on Barnabas and sent one to the Gentiles and one to the Yehudim. Until it got to that point, there was no rest from the church, because Paul had a letter to go take anybody and slaughter them. He had everything going to where he was against the church. It'll show you later on, if you read the book of Acts, it'll say, then the call out assembly had rest. The church had rest. And this was when Paul began to be converted. Before that, there was no rest. He was on the way getting ready to slaughter them before the bright light shine. This shows you that when you're dealing with the Most High, it doesn't matter how big somebody is. This is why you have to quit looking at people in a light of the flesh. Quit doing it. Don't even worry about how big they seem to be or how bad they seem to be. None of that matters, because it doesn't matter to the Most High. He can, if you're breathing and living, he can bring you down. That's it. So it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what injury they come with. None of that matters. If you look at what's going on this side, where we at for us in this society in Babylon, in the United States, most of the people that's saying that they operate in the Ruach and they trust in the Most High, or some of them say God is in the Christian world, are scared of devils. But when you read the scripture, there's no place where people were scared of witches. Like, I don't see nothing in the scripture where you were scared of no devil. I see where they were scared of you. When we talk about the witch of Endor, we talk about Saul during the time of Samuel. When Samuel died, when he had already put the decree out, because remember the word says, suffer not a witch to live, back in the law. And he already put the decree to kill all the witches and put out all the witches were out of the city at that time. So the witch of Endor was scared. She said, you deceived me to try to call up Samuel before you. He said, you deceived me. So she was scared. She was trembling. This is a witch that was trembling before Saul. So we can't be worried about witches. When you deal with Simon the sorcerer in the book of Acts, Simon the sorcerer was right there with the apostles. He was amazed seeing the power of Yah. Because see, what the deal is, witches just want power. A lot of them have been deceived and they just want power. So when they see a greater power, they're going to gravitate to a greater power. But the thing is, when you're dealing with fear, it actually puts you in position where now you neutralize the power that you're saying you got, because you're afraid of something that you shouldn't be afraid of. You've been called to deliver them too. They're bound. It's a spirit of control. And if we have to look at it, I'm saying it because we have to get out of our mind being afraid of things, the movies and stuff. This is why TV is so horrible. In certain areas, it's good for educational purposes, but when you're dealing with the movies and everything, it has taught you that witches are so bad for us. Like, I'm talking about tough and stuff. I understand if you don't have the power of Yah. You know what I'm saying? We know everything for what it is, when it be curses or blessings. But I'm just saying, when you operate in the power of Yah, what are you scared of? You saying you got the power of the Most High. I mean, that's why David was able to go out there and slay the lives. He said, look, you finna die. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that's coming against the Yah I serve? He wanted to know, who is he? So he was letting them know it's nothing. He's gonna fall. And this we have to look at when we see anything that's contrary, whether it be in the Ruach realm. The Most High never be able to use nobody to deliver somebody that's afraid of some witch, that's afraid of somebody that practices it, or you scared because you say, he done this. What are they doing that's greater than Yah if you've been called by Yah? He said, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. This is what he said, but you have to be his anointed. If you're not his anointed, then you're going to be done harm. But if you're, this is why you can't fake this stuff. This is why you can't deal with this stuff. When you deal with the 7 sons of Sceva, you can't be trying to talk about, we want to cast you out of whom the Yahushua HaMashiach, who Paul knows. You can't do that. You have to know him personally. And if you know him personally, then they're going to recognize you. That's why we said Yahushua HaMashiach we know, Paul we know, but who are you? And it's the thing. So they begin to know you through your prayer life. They begin to know you as you begin to do as Jude say, praying in your utmost holiest faith in the Ruach HaKodesh. When you're doing that, you're entering into another realm. And you have to realize if you're operating in this in any other form of fashion, that's why I stay in my lane. Because I know that there is another world out here, unseen things that you have to deal with and address. And if you don't address this stuff, then it's nothing going to happen. You have to realize that you wrestle not against flesh and blood. And so there is a wrestle. That's why it says I wrestle not. And that's the thing. So we can't be looking at thinking that everything is just happening by chance. Nothing is happening by chance. If you're not going to pull down, cast out, if you're not doing none of that stuff, you're just accepting what's going on. You don't have to accept the ruach of depression. You don't have to accept the suicidal thoughts that come to your head. You don't have to accept anything feeling oppressed or bogged down. You have to release it. That's why you have to put on the garment of praise of a rocker. You have to put that garment on. That garment is you starting to do it and enter into that realm mentally. And as you begin to enter into that realm mentally, you'll begin to see that ruach of depression should be lifted up. It's got to lift up. They can't stand in the same lane. There's nothing that can be not pure in the sight of Yah and stay there and be really there for real. It has to go at some point. When you see the goodness of Yah come and you see evil there, it's going to be driven out. It's not going to be able to stand in the presence of Yah if you're saying you and Yah. The problem is a lot of people playing games. A lot of people are sitting there, then psych themselves out, looking for some type of image. I mean, like that. If you just want that outward appearance, then you're not going to be able to deliver nobody, and you're going to be bound. You're bound by a ruach of being false. You know, you're deceived pretty much, and so you can't be deceived and operate in the things of Yah. Go ahead. We're going to look at Acts chapter 7, verse 58. This is only what happened when after Stephen got stoned right here. Acts 7:58.
It says, and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Shaul.
Okay, and so this is just showing you the introduction of him being there. So when Stephen is stoned, after Stephen gives this testimony, it said that they came upon him with one cord, stopped up their ears, screaming, and they stoned him. This is just showing you that when you look at the testimony of Stephen, when you read that, what he said, it cut them to their heart. They were cut so hard till they ran upon him with one cord and they stoned him. They couldn't take it. It's like it was just too much for them. And when they done that, the guy who we call him Paul was Saul then. This showing you the power of conversion. He was still Saul at that point, and he was right there at that point. So it shows you that he was in cahoot with those that was slaying the call out assembly. It was no rest. This is the thing what gets me is like, all you got to do now is just seek Yah and stop being deceived, stop being distracted by social media, the TV and all this stuff, and balance it out and just seek Yah's son. They couldn't even worship Yah. It's like, they was like, you know, it was like, you don't know, these houses that we have now are more secure. They weren't in castles. Those houses were little fragile houses they were in. You look at some of them, you can hear somebody praising Yah or what they got going on. So they couldn't really even, they had to fight just to praise Yah back then. And like now we're not even fighting to praise him, and we don't even have that type of battle. There's nobody stopping you from praising Yah now. You're not on the run or anything, but we're not doing it because we've been distracted. We think that it's just, you know, not a big deal. It becomes a big deal when something bad happens, a loved one dies or something like that, or you get caught with some illness or something. The doctor say you got cancer. Now you're seeking it. Well, it may be too late at that point. Sorry to say, it may be too late. Like you may be able to be saved according to your soul, but your flesh may have to go. That's the thing, because the Most High is at a point now where he feel like, what is it? Why save you from dying? What have you done for me? Like, what are you going to do when I save you? You're going to go back to doing what you've been doing, and you may even get worse and go to hell. So I'm going to let you die now so you can make it into the kingdom. That's it. You know, and this is why you see people, this is just coming from the heart. This is why you see people that die. And you say, okay, well, they got their life right, they changed and everything. It was too late. Time had ran out according to the flesh. Like he had been told them to change their diet. He had been told them to stop drinking, to stop doing this because they had liver issues and all this stuff, heart problems. And you kept going the same way. Then now all of a sudden, when the doctor gives you the bad news, you want to get this on the dime type deliverance. You know, it's not working that way. The Most High saying, look, it ain't in your heart to do this. You're only doing this now because you got this this result from the doctor and it's a bad report. So now you want to try to switch it. So he said, look, now I'm going to let you die. And this is why we see people that don't make it, because their heart was never right to make it from the beginning, most of them didn't have a heart to really seek Yah. We see people as we perceive them, and you can't answer for nobody. This is what we have to realize. We don't know unless you're there with somebody 24/7. You don't know what nobody's doing behind closed doors. You don't know the thought that they're thinking of. There's so many things that can stop. You don't know what they've been disobedient to concerning the Most High. So you can't vouch for people unless you're actually there laboring among them. If you're not laboring amongst them, you can't say this. So if you're laboring amongst them, it won't be happening. Most of the time, these are just people we got from the flesh, and we want to, don't get me wrong, pray. But sometimes your prayer is amiss because it's your own selfish longing. It's not the Most High's will that they be saved from them like that. But we don't want to receive that because that's a hard saying. This is something people will ridicule you for. Well, what you mean? The Most High can't? No, it's not that he can't. He's not going to do it now. There is a time limit, you know. There's a time where it's too late. When it's too late, it's just too late. It's like you have to have something. When we use Hezekiah, when he turned his back to the wall, he already had something to tell the Most High. He said, I walked upright before you. Everybody don't have that testimony, but they're wanting to be saved from death, not saved to be used by the Most High. That's a difference. So that's a fleshly desire. And so the Most High is not trying to hear that. You know what I mean? You have to make sure that even when you are praying, sometimes it's just not going to happen. And he'll show you that this prayer is pointless. I'm not going to do it. That's it, because you can't make the Most High hand change on a situation that he sees that's not going to be beneficial to him. That's the thing. It can't be beneficial to us only. Save my loved one because I love him and I want whoever it is just to be here with me. Now, it don't work that way. He's saying, no, I'm not going to do it. I didn't save you. You got to be glad with that. But they got to go because their heart is not right with me. Even though you have love for him, he's not going to do it. And this is what people have to know. It'll cause you not to waste so much time. It'll cause you to really accept the fact that the righteousness of the Most High is different from your good and bad, from what you like and dislike. He don't operate that way. It has to be for his will, or it can't be, it can't be saved. That's it. So we're gonna go to Acts chapter 8. We just keep going, verse 1 through 3.
And Shaul was consenting until his death. And at that time, there was a great persecution against the called out assembly, which was at Jerusalem. And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of the Yahud and Samaria, except the apostles. And devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made great lamentation over him. As for Shaul or Saul, he made havoc of the called out assembly, entering into every house and hailing men and women, committed them to prison.
Now you see that? I just told you. They have no rest. Say entering into every house. Didn't say he was just outside listening. Say he entered into every house. So if he entered into the house, he entered into the house to get you so you can go to prison for praising or worshiping or saying that you are of Yah or you are of the call out assembly. So we don't have an excuse. There's nobody entering into our house. Like this is why I try to show people the grace of Yah. It's like we don't have an excuse, to be honest with you. Like we have no excuse at this point because it was hard back then. You have people that were martyred. You have people that had their head cut off. They were beheaded for the gospel's sake. And here it is. All we got to do is we have everything. You have the word online, on your phone, everything. You can worship in so many ways. Nobody cares. Everything is working so smoothly. And the reason it's like that now because they don't have to do it that way now. Now they've got you through technology. They got you through propaganda. So you're freely, willingly serving houseofaryeh now at this point because you think that you're not doing it. But you're doing it because of the fact that most of the stuff that the world presents to you is contrary to Yah, but you embrace it. You receive it because it seems to be small. It seems not to be a great thing. But the word said a little leaven leavens the whole lump. And so this we have to look at. So we have to make sure that when we're dealing with this, we have to realize that if you're saying that you're in Mashiach, a change has to come. And this is why we're talking about the Apostle Paul. And so let's look at Acts chapter 9. Starting off at the first verse.
Right, Acts 9:1. And Shaul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of Adonai, went into the high priest and desired of him Sephram to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he may bring them bound into Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Shaul, Shaul, why do you persecute me?
Now you see, he said, why you persecute me? This is why I said, he said, touch not my anointing, and do my prophets no harm. So this is the Most High he's persecuting. This is the body of Mashiach, I would say, who he's persecuting. And so there's no way around this. And the reason why it's like that, because these people are saying that they're in Mashiach and they're actually trying to operate as such. But he's not trying to hear that. He's saying, look, if there's anybody that's saying they're of the call out assembly, I want them in prison. I want them to stop that. And this is the thing where we know that when somebody's coming against the Mashiach, when you're coming against the Most High's people, you're coming against the Most High. This is why we have to be careful and choose our battles. Like, this isn't like giving no one group of people, like all pastors or whatever, that just actual recognition. This is to anybody that's in Mashiach that you're coming against. I'm talking about not correcting somebody and judging somebody based on, hey, you in sin, you need to be corrected. I'm talking about you're deliberately coming against them. This is why this is going back to those that are operating in the ruach of in dark ruachs and stuff. You saying, oh, they doing this, they got this, and doing that. Well, they're coming against Mashiach if you stay in Mashiach. That's why you have to stay in him. You can't be outside of him. You can't be playing devil dutch. You can't be jumping back and forth. You have to make sure that you're in him, because if you're not, if you get caught on the wrong side, it may prosper against you because you're not operating in him. It's not no situation where you can be unrighteous and nothing happens to you. You have to be walking upright. These people back then were walking upright. This is why the bright light shined against Paul, if it Saul at this time, because if it wasn't so, he wouldn't have came. Why is he going to shine a light in his face and these people are not living right? These people are in him, and this we have to look at. So
5. And he said, who are you, Adonai? And Adonai said, I am Yahushua, whom you persecute. It is hard for you to kick against the priest.
So you won't be able to beat me. That's what he's saying. You will not be able to beat me. Like you're saying, you kicking against the priest right now. You will not be able to beat me. This is why you have to look at it. So if you're in Mashiach, don't worry about it. Just stay in Mashiach. When it's time to fight, yeah, you got to fight. But you don't have to go into no major debate with nobody about something that you know is righteous. If you're doing the right thing, let them do their thing and you do yours once it gets to a point where there's no reason. That's the thing. And that's we have to know when to cut it off. And at this point, this is the cutoff point for him. He's saying, look, you're not going to be able to go no further. I'm not going to allow you to keep persecuting my church. That's it. So he's saying, look, now I'm going to stop you right in your track. And this is what's going to happen with anybody. If you're walking upright, the Most High will eventually stop them in their tracks. And they'll say, well, dang, what happened? You'll see it. You'll hear about it. It may have been times where somebody have done something against you, and you at the time you was at your peak of living right, doing the right thing, and you hear about this person that got fired, or this happened, or that happened, or this, and you'll be like, man, I sure hate that happened. It'll be so bad till you'll have compassion on them. And they was trying to come against you. But this is the hand of the Most High. You can't stop it. Like, this is why we have to get out of the flesh. I'm not saying don't have compassion against people, but I'm saying when the Most High punishes somebody, you can't help them. If it's a judgment from the Most High, you cannot help them. And this is what we learn. We learn this stuff in church. Like, we got to erase all the myths and all this stuff where the naming and claiming theory and lay hands on is yours and all this stuff, it doesn't work like that with the Most High. He's not playing tricks and games like that. The way he operated is, if you're operating righteously, then righteous things are going to happen for you. That's it. It's just there's nothing else to it. Yeah.
5. And he said, 6. And he trembled and astonished said, Adonai, what will you have me to do? And Adonai said unto him, arise and go into the city, and it shall be told you what you must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man.
Pause. And I'm just showing a little revelation here, because the men that was with him, they heard the voice, but they saw no man. If you go back to Daniel chapter 10, when Daniel saw the man with the linen clothes, it say he saw the vision. And the word began to declare, say, I, Daniel alone, saw the vision. But the men that were with Daniel, they didn't see that vision. It's the same scenario. So when the Most High is dealing with you, he's dealing with you. So this is why you have to look at it, where when you are dealing with the Most High, he's speaking to you, you can be in the midst of a crowd, everything could be going on, he's going to show it to you, and you're sitting there in the flesh saying, did you see that? No, they didn't see it, because he wasn't showing it to them at the time. There's nothing to see for them, because their eyes are not open to see the vision. This is the thing. So it's like, you know, when the Most High is showing you something, he's showing you. This is why when Daniel was there, Daniel said, nobody saw the vision but me. But there were other people with Daniel. And it wasn't a quiet scenario. It was a lot going on, but only Daniel saw it. And that's a bright light shining unto Saul at that time. And these men didn't see that. They didn't know what was going on. So this showing that when the Most High is calling you, the Most High calls you and he deals with you and nothing can stop it. It's like he'll freeze time just to deal with you. We saw that with Joshua when he said that the time stopped so that they can finish fighting the battle back then. So the Most High freeze time just so he can actually deal with you and everybody else around. You can be around 2,000 people and they won't see something that you see to be dynamic, and it could be super loud, but they won't see it or hear it. And then time starts back into the moment and they're like, no, I don't know, you crazy. I ain't hear anything or see nothing, but that's how the Most High operates. This is when you're in the Ruach. So we have to look at this and don't think the flesh all the time. Quit trying to get people to agree with whatever revelation the Most High, he gave it to you. Like you're only going to cause confusion. You're not even supposed to share some of that stuff with people, certain things. Some of the stuff is meant to be kept to yourself for a appointed time or sometime until you see the king. So it's like because everybody's not going to always receive a revelation that you got from the Most High. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen when you keep sharing every revelation. It's going to discourage you because nobody's going to be in agreement. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be like, well, dang, you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. So you need to even seek the Most High before you share certain stuff, even certain dreams and stuff. Some of it is just not for everybody. It's for your development in the Ruach.
8. And Shaul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were open, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did he eat nor drink.
Now, this is something I'm dissecting a little bit because the first thing happened when he went from the flesh to begin to start to walk in the Ruach, he destroyed that flesh. And this was by default. This isn't saying that he deliberately went on no fast. It said he didn't have no desire for it. This was so great till it took his appetite away. He said he never ate. He said, look, I can't even see anything. I don't want nothing to eat right now. I'm just astonished. Here I was getting these people killed, and I was right there with Stephen when he got stoned, and I was just going inside he was going in houses, snatching people out of there, sending them to prison for saying that they're worshiping Yah. So at this point, you think he's thinking about food? This is why you have to realize that the destruction of the flesh comes with the desire of the flesh being, that you deprive yourself from those desires, where you don't do it. And it's not saying that encouraging nobody not to eat or drink. I'm just showing you the power of Yah. It literally took away his appetite. The first thing happened was his flesh started getting destroyed.
10. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Shananyahu or Ananias.
Yeah.
And to him said Yahuwah in a vision, Ananias. And he said, behold, I am here, Adonai. And Adonai said unto him, arise and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehuda for one called Shaul of Tarsus. For behold, he prays.
Okay, now, this is what I'm trying to show you. Like the word of Yah is a sure word. This is why you have the scenario that's similar when you compare this to Peter and you compare this to Cornelius at the time. When Peter was saying, look, when he had the vision, he said, I never ate anything common or unclean. Cornelius at the same time, they were he knew he had to go talk to Cornelius, and Cornelius knew he had to go inquire for Peter. You know what I'm saying? So this is the thing. So the Most High is speaking to both people. There's a confirmation. He's not just like, this is why when someone telling me, and this is why you have to be careful when you're saying in the church world, God said, on this side, Yah said. You have to be careful and make sure that you really feel that impression, because Yah, there is a confirmation that's going to come. Like nobody has to blindly receive your word. This is the thing. Like this is what we caught up in. Churches taught us that when you get up there, because of all the stuff that's going on and all the extra ad-lib, you be saying, okay, look, this must be Yah. Now, if this is Yah, this is the thing. A lot of people try to force stuff. When you hear these words, you go try to force it. And like, he's supposed to be blessed you with a car, you went and got into debt, and you can't even afford the car note. Because the prophet gave you a word, you're supposed to get a car, you got a car in the house, and you got no money left for food. Like that. But you trying to force this prophecy to come to pass. This thing. So, but when it's the Most High, he's not going to put you in bondage. When it's the Most High, he's going to confirm the thing. Like this is why you have to look at it even when the Most High start dealing with dreams and start dealing with vision and stuff, he'll repeat the thing. He's not going to let you rest. He's going to, if he has an urgency, he's going to keep doing it over and over to confirm. And if he's telling you something to tell me or me to tell somebody, I can't be upset because they don't just say, yeah, they're not supposed to receive my word. They're supposed to get a confirmation that this is Yah. And this is the space we have to allow people. We can't operate in a form of religion and Christianity and think that just because you're saying you've been called to be a prophet, that when you tell somebody something, they don't say yeah and get to jumping around, you mad. Well, you're in the flesh. Because you're not a representative of Yah. Yah doesn't even operate that way. He doesn't force his word on nobody. The word said, choose ye this day. Like Joshua said, who you would serve. As for me and my house, we're going to serve Yah. So it's not no situation where you're forced. It's the thing. And what happened with this is we're stuck in the old school. Everybody's stuck on Samuel and all this stuff and not realizing that, yeah, back then he had to do that because these prophets back then were over a whole jurisdiction. They were over in government dealing with the people, and the people weren't in bondage to another government. The way we're set up now, he said, I give gifts unto men. And he began to give those gifts when he leave. When he sent the comforter, he sent the gift. He sent what we would call the fivefold ministry. He sent the prophets, teachers, evangelists, and all this stuff. So when you have that going on, the Most High is going to operate in confirmation. He's not going to operate in a situation where you're just saying stuff and rolling on. That's why I said when you start speaking in tongues, or when you start prophesying, he said that by course, 2 or 3, and let the others judge. It wasn't supposed to be you just running doing what you want to do out of order. That's the thing. We learned not to respect order from church because people put themselves on a pedestal and we put other people on a pedestal to now their word is the final say. And this is not how the Most High operate. The Most High, you think he's going to send you to hell because the fact that you didn't listen to somebody said and you never knew it was real? That's not how the Most High operates. He's going to know for a fact you were disobedient. And so if you're disobedient, he's going to allow you that time to say, okay, look, I'm not going to do it. He's going to send more than one person. He's not going to send you to hell because you didn't hear what one person had to say unless you're under the jurisdiction of this individual. Well, it's not like that. Samuel spoke to the people as a whole. That was the mouthpiece of Yah. We don't have that now. And this is where people get off course right now. We don't want to respect the gift. Everybody wants to operate in a direct office. We have people saying the apostles don't even have no churches they're talking to. They're just saying it. You know what I mean? Like that. It's like, so we can't get so caught up into these titles to the point where we get caught up in the flesh when people don't receive our person. It's a spirit of control. And I won't stand for it at all. That's why I know for a fact that the Most High is going to always confirm his things. Go ahead.
I'm going to read 11 over since 12.
You go ahead.
And Adonai said unto him, arise and go into the street, which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehuda for one called Shaul of Tarsus. For behold, he prays and had seen in a vision named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. The Ananias answered, Adonai, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to your Kodeshim at Jerusalem. And here he has authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on your name.
So he had the power to bind anybody that called on the name. And so therefore, these people here had to fight. They had to fight just to worship Yah. We don't have that same fight. This is why we're going to be judged with a greater judgment. This is something I can say with assurance. I mean, I can really say this is going to be a greater judgment because we, like I say, in the position that we're in, it's like we're just being distracted. We have the actual freedom to worship Yah, to serve him. We don't have nobody restricting us or stopping us. When we talking about all these church and stuff that's different with whatever rule or laws they may have, they having to deal with, but you don't have to do that. Like I say, the way that these people were, they were in the houses. That's why I say the houseofaryeh, they wasn't like in some of these great big assemblies and stuff that you see going on. They were going from house to house and they were worshiping Yah.
15, but Adonai said unto him, go your way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the other nations and kings and the children of Yashraal. But I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. And
so it's the thing. So Ananias is afraid. And the Most High telling him this, and he's like, man, have you seen who he think he is telling the Most High about what somebody else done? It's like, do he not trust the power of Yah? This a man. He a fleshly man. And the Most High, anything that's flesh and blood cannot stand against the Most High. This is the thing. So you look at this right here and you say, okay, well, he say, I'm going to show him what great things he's going to suffer for my name's sake. This goes back to 2 Corinthians 12 when he say a messenger of Satan was sent unto me. You know what I'm saying? That may buffet me, a thorn in the flesh unless I get above measure. It's already above measure. So he had to show him, look, he done a lot of things, but I'm going to keep him in check. And so, you know, he's wrestling with Ananias, the priest, over a man. Like you speaking to the Most High. It's like, and it trips me out that he's not really just taking this from the Most High. This shows you how bad Saul was at the time, to the point where he was just persecuting the church relentlessly. He was just going in there, snatching them out the house and taking them to prison. Imagine somebody kicking your door in this day and time and coming like they be coming, like the feds, snatching you out the house and taking you to prison because they heard you were worshiping Yah. And you got to deal with that. That's why we're gonna be, judged with a greater judgment, because we have the freedom. But we have the spirit of disobedience. We don't want to serve Yah in the way in which he says serve him. We want to serve him through some type of entertainment like that. And he's not going to allow that. So when things happen to you in your life and you can't shake it, it's because of the fact that you're not serving him in the ruach of truth. You're not doing that. So if you're not doing it in truth, then therefore he's not going to be true to you when the time comes, because you're none of his. Like that, like you're operating on your own. It's like you're doing stuff, taking songs from the world, doing all this kind of stuff, and you're stamping his name on that. That's not that. That's forgery. That's what that is. So when you're operating in forgery, then he's not going to allow you to, you're not going to be able to do it. When you're coming out with that fake $100 bill, if they catch it, they're not going to let you buy anything. And most of the time, they're going to catch a fake $100 bill in this day and time. So people are operating in counterfeit, and then they're trying to actually seek the Most High when things, got people sitting there praying, interceding, and not realizing that this person is in error. Just like during the time of Achan, he said, look, there's sin in the camp. We have to get this out of the camp in order for the Most High to move. Other than that, it's going to be sickness, it's going to be disease. But a lot of people are deceived because they're saying, okay, you're looking at somebody to be one way, but the Most High see them in another light, because that's who they really are. He see them naked. He don't see them with all the different stuff that you've been tricked to look at. You know what I mean? You can't look at all that stuff. You have to look at the ruach. Like, that's why Paul them said, if you don't believe us, then believe us by the very work's sake. That's the thing. So if you don't believe us by what we are doing. That's it. So don't worry about us. Don't know us after the flesh. Know us according to the work we're doing in the Mashiach.
17. And Ananias went his way and entered into the house, and putting his hands on him said, Brother Shaul, Adonai, even Yahusha that appeared unto you in the ways as you came, has sent me, that ye might receive your sight and be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh.
And see, it's the thing. What happened with Saul at the time, he was blinded from the old sight he had. Like, he didn't just have a natural blindness, he had a blindness where now he's going to be able to have a spiritual set of eyes. We can see everything in a new light. It's like he was blind for a minute, and now he's going to be able to see everything. When he opened his eyes back up, remember, before his eyes closed, he was on his way to go persecute more of the called out assembly. And right when the bright light shined at that particular point in time, he went blind. The light blinded him. So when he opened back his eyes, he's going to see the light of the Mashiach. Now you're going to know that there's a power greater than what he thought he was doing, because he was operating in the flesh. All he was doing was just muscling, big boy, and just going there grabbing people out with the power of those that were in authority. That's all he was doing. But now he's finna see now that everything doesn't happen in the flesh through natural strength. So when he opened his eyes back up, now he's gonna see things through the eyes of the Mashiach. This is why he said, henceforth let no man trouble me in the flesh. He said, look, henceforth in Galatians 6, he said, let no man trouble me in the flesh. He said, I bear in my body the marks of the Mashiach. So he said, look, I've already been through some stuff. This is why when people get to talking about they're so powerful and they don't have no testimony about something that the Most High did that was not normal, then you can't be as powerful what you're saying, because he's not going to let you escape. We have to look at this thing like, the bigger you are, the more the house of time begins to know you. People, everything, the forces of darkness begin to know you because they're dodging you. They don't want to come around that. They like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to get off into this, but I'm just going to say, when you operate in a life of worship, a life of praise, a life of seeking the Most High, don't you know that there's always some entity that's trying to come in and get to you, some force that's trying to come in and distract you? Well, when the power of Yah is there, it's like a force field against that at that time. I'm not saying it's 24/7, because we know thoughts come, but I'm talking about fiery darts, things that's coming to aim at you. These things know it, man. We've been aiming, and our darts just keep bouncing off the wall. That's why they say, Paul, I know, and the Mashiach, we know. But who are you? We know. These are demons talking to this man, or whoever this was that got here during this time in the 7 sons of Sceva. This is what we got going on. So they're saying we know them, but they don't know you if you're not operating in Mashiach. If you're not operating in that realm of the Ruach, nothing knows you from the dark side. This is why we have to look at this stuff like the truth will be revealed. Like one of my words is the proof is in the pudding. When the pressure is on, there's only one way out, and that's the power of Yah. Any other way won't work. Like it gets to a point where you have to have the power of Yah to be set free. Like, and it's like you won't be able to fake it. It won't be no psychological counseling, won't do it. None of that stuff. It'll help you personally, mentally, but it won't get the spirit up off of you. You got yourself to the point where you can cope with it. Like all you're doing now, coping with demons. That's it. But to get delivered, it takes the power of Yah. Go ahead.
18. And immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received sight forthwith and arose and was immersed.
And got baptized right then. So at that point, he went down one way and came up a whole nother way.
And when he had received food, he was strengthened. Then was Shaul certain days with the disciples which were at Damascus, and straightway he preached Mashiach in the synagogues, that he is the son of Elohim.
So look at that. So he went with the disciples that were in Damascus, but the Most High told him, look, you stay on that same road where you're going to go try to get somebody. Stay on that road called straight. Stay on that road. And I got more plans for you. You think you're going to go destroy something. I'm finna get you situated where you're going to connect. So this is why everybody got scared. Around the time when he came, Barnabas embraced him, but those that were Antioch was scared of him. And they eventually embraced him, but they was like, isn't this the one that was persecuting our house? The house of Yah, and the call out of sinner, but Barnabas embraced him. And at that point, it was all order back then. To say that those that were the elders there, they laid hands. They sent Paul one way and Barnabas another way. Paul went to the Gentiles, Barnabas went to the Yehud, and that's the way it was set up. And they didn't just go on their own. They went out, and they were sent out. They were sent out to go do a work. This is why we call him Apostle Paul. He was sent out to do a work, and he started establishing people and setting them up. He set Timothy up. That's why he told him, let no man despise thy youth. Do the work of evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. He let them know this stuff because he was already counteracting the stuff they trying to do. He had to hurry up and get them circumcised because he knew they was going to be acting a fool like that. So when you look at the story of Timothy, just to keep it real, Timothy was mixed. You know, I don't really know to what degree it was. We know that everybody somebody was something different, Greek or something like that. You know, so when maybe his dad or mama had to look back at it. So this showing it was issue with him already at that point. This because you look at it, he went to the Gentile. That's who Paul went to. He went to the Gentile. This is why the Mashiach said, I came into my own received me not. But he came for us, but we didn't want to receive him. So he had to turn the other way so he can open up the door for everybody. He said, look, now I got to open up the door that anybody that comes in is going to come in and begin to do the work that I do them through the Ruach and not just through the flesh. That's why we can't glorify and glory in just who we are. Like it's a great thing that we're the people, yeah, I believe that, but it's not enough to get us into the kingdom. Like we have to go in there with that and be righteous at the same time and be set apart at the same time. If anything else is going on in your mind outside of that, you're going to be deceived.
19. Well, 19. No. 20.
Yeah, 20.
And straightway he preached Mashiach in the synagogues that he was the son of Elohim. But all that heard him were amazed and said, is not this he that destroyed them which called on the name in Jerusalem and came hither for the intent that he may bring them bound unto the chief priests? But Shaul increased the more in strength and confounded the Yahudim which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Mashiach, that this is very Mashiach. And after that, many days were fulfilled. The Yahudim took counsel to kill him, but their laying await was known of Shaul, and they watched the gates day and night to kill him.
Okay, and that's the thing. So this showing you, say they watched the gates day and night to kill him. They had to wait until it got dark to let him down by a basket or something, just so you can get out of there. So this just showing you how, you know, no matter what you do, when you switch, they hate you. Because these same ones, he was with them, remember? The ones that watching the gates day and night to kill him, mad because of who he is. They're not, with him. They were the ones he may not ran with him, but they all was trying to persecute the church or persecuting the church. So at this particular point in time here, now they've turned against him. So it's how it goes. If you're not on the same side, like this is why there's no honor among thieves or anything. There's no honor among anybody that's doing things that's unrighteous. Once you switch, you have switched. This is why you have to look at it when Hasatan uses you up and drains you for everything you got. He don't respect you at that point. He kicks you out. You're nothing. Like when your time is up, you see a lot of these stars. You say, well, what happened to them? Well, he don't need them no more. If they out of their prime, it's like there's nothing else they got going on. They washed up. So now it's over. So this is what we have to look at this particular point in time. When they see Paul, look, now you switch sides, we want to kill you too. Like I say, so this is the thing right here. So we have to make sure that when you knowing that you're in Mashiach, you can't allow any other distraction. You can't allow people from the past to distract you and get you caught up because of the fact that they're saying, well, hey, you know, we used to do this. There's no we. If you ain't in the Mashiach, we don't have a we. Me and you don't have a relationship. I know you, I respect you for who you are, but there's no relationship. I mean, we don't have no type of joining together. Like if you're not in Mashiach, I don't join with you. I respect who you are, whether it be fleshly, family, whatever it is. I have reverence to that situation, but we're not the same. And it has to be known there is a separation. I'm set apart and you're not. And that's the thing. And this is where the confusion comes in at. A lot of people allow family members, they allow certain ones of the flesh that's not trying to walk in the Mashiach to dictate their moves and to even try to make them feel bad for not doing something or not doing something that's of the pagan world or something they think they're supposed to be doing. It doesn't matter what it is. If the Most High spoke to you and told you don't do it, then you don't need to do it. And if you know it's something that he's not going to tell you everything. Like we have a standard we have to live by. It's like everything is not going to be written in the scriptures. Like some things people can do, some things people can't do. Even though you may read in something and say, look, we say we can do this, all things are lawful but not expedient. That don't mean we can go pick that scripture out and tell somebody don't do that. No, that may not be for them. They can do it. But if he told you don't do it, that's when you use all things are lawful but not expedient. We can't use that scripture to stop someone from doing something that the word said that we think is wrong. That's false judgment. That's you trying to override the word of Yah. You can't do that. You have to walk in the calling you've been called to walk in. Like Paul and them said, look, we stay sober and we restrain for the sake of the Mashiach, so that we could be sober to be able to give an answer to those that are asking of us. It has nothing to do with us telling you not to be sober like that. Like just you have to do what you've been called to do. So we can't pick and choose things out the word that we want to make laws and stuff. Like there are people that can follow the dietary law. And there are people that say, look, I see the dietary law is there, but I question some things that have been going on in the society. So I'm restrained from it and just do plant-based diet. Well, we can't make that no type of religion or no type of word. We have to do what the Most High put in our heart. And neither can those ones that are saying, hey, look, is there force on anybody else to do it? That's the thing. So you just have to be led by the Ruach, how you operate. But going back to being a new creature, when you're a new creature, things change in your life. You begin to lose an appetite for things that you once had an appetite for, even though those things may have not been sin. Like the word doesn't just talk about sin and say, lay aside every weight and sin that does so easily beset us. So it may be a weight, something that's holding you down and not sin. And the weight could eventually probably cause you to sin, but a weight and sin is different. So with that being said, we're gonna close out with prayer. Father Yah, thank you right now for the word that went forth. I thank you right now for allowing us to operate, Father Yah, in the newness of life through the Mashiach as new creatures, Father Yah. Father Yah, we just magnify your name right now for this day that you have made. And we shall continue to rejoice and be glad in it. In the name of Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray. So be it.